So our next speaker is Andrea Stewart, who is making her way up to the podium now. Unfortunately, Jill Provoe is not able to present today, but Andrea is ably going to take us through this. She's the Director for Libraries and Learning Support at NSCC, and she's going to talk about supporting educational equity. And I'm just going to bring her slide show up here.
So as Cynthia mentioned, my name is Andrea Stewart. I'm the Director of Libraries and Learning Supports at Nova Scotia Community College. Unfortunately, my partner in the presentation, Jill Provoe, who is our Senior Advisor of Educational Equity, wasn't able to join us today, and she sends her regrets. I'm going to try to do justice to her portion of the presentation. The beginning slides and the notes are hers, so just bear with me as we go through. And our presentation is Educational Equity in Action, specifically how our Libraries and Learning Supports Department are supporting, and we're going to highlight some of our initiatives. So, let's see, here we go. So thanks in no small part to Jill Provoe. We are the first post-secondary institution in Atlantic Canada to develop an educational equity policy. But this is so much more to us than just a policy. This is a lens in which we plan to transform our college through better access, experience, and outcomes for all. Our vision is to be a national leader in educational equity through the purposeful disruption of systemic inequities in pursuit of equitable access. And this is the work of everyone across NSCC. It's not just Jill's job as the Educational Equity Senior Advisor. The policy talks about equity mindedness and the need for us all to bring an equity mindset to everything that we do to ensure success for all learners. So what does educational equity mean to NSCC? So it means that personal or social circumstances, including but not limited to the protected characteristics in the Nova Scotia Human Rights Act, are not obstacles to achieving equitable access to learning, experiencing a respectful and inclusive learning environment, and both individuals and society benefiting from the skills and knowledge acquired. So the concept of educational equity is somewhat new terminology for some. It's the sister policy to employment equity, whereas employment equity focuses on diversifying the staffing complement, educational equity focuses on ensuring diversity amongst the student body and achieving equitable outcomes. And equity does not mean, as you know, ignoring differences and treating people all the same. Instead, it means recognizing and valuing our differences, removing systemic barriers, and accommodating individual differences as needed. And educational equity at NSCC lives within the academic department or division side of the house under Jill's leadership, and she works in close partnership with the Diversity and Inclusion Office, as well as the Senior Advisor of Mi'kmaq and Indigenous Initiatives. And these three senior leadership areas are leaning into our equity agenda to mobilize the college for true equity-driven systems change. So educational equity will impact our teaching practices, planning and systems, supports and services, innovation and programming. And it's fundamentally about doing college differently. And if you know NSCC, we have a very strong access mandate. We now are, though, serious about expanding on this foundational philosophy and transforming it into an equity-centered college. Our main goal is to ensure that students have equitable educational opportunities and experience a respectful and inclusive learning environment to increase access and overall success. So it's an equity journey. And equitable success is more than just access and representational equity, it's a continuum. And that equity continuum starts with access, moving to and through the students' experiences and into outcomes. And this is where Jill gets really excited and revved up, and I cannot even attempt to mirror her type presentation style, but outcomes don't just mean looking at our graduation rates for students from equity-seeking groups, but also analyzing employment rates. So it's really looking at our role and the next steps as Nova Scotia's community college in working with employers to help ensure they are fostering safe, welcoming, and inclusive workplaces for our graduates as well. So that's really exciting work ahead of us that we're really raring to lean into with our industry partners. And a quote from the Ed Equity policy that is one of Jill's favorites and mine is, NSCC is genuine in its commitment and intentional in its action to identify and remove barriers to educational equity to create and maintain an inclusive, respectful learning environment for all students. Now, Jill has also mentioned digital equity as an emerging commitment. And we are using a definition from EDUCAUSE. This is a Horizon report from 2019. Digital equity refers to comparable technology, particularly to broadband connectivity sufficient to access unbiased, uncensored content and to enable full partnership on the in the World Wide Web. And digital equity, I would say, is an area in which libraries have played an essential role for a very long time, including access to computers and internet at our campuses for both our college and our broader communities. As a community college, that's part of our role. Lending laptops and iPads to provide equitable access to this and other types of equipment for students who may be facing financial barriers, as well as the expertise that we, and I say we, all of us in the room and online, provide in information and digital literacy skills to support the use of resources and technology and the evaluation and access to information. And we're really excited to further this commitment as technology evolves and grows, and ensuring we are consciously and deliberately considering whose voices are dominant online and whose are excluded from these platforms. And I see that as a really important role for libraries and the resources we collect and promote. In addition to digital equity, we play an important role in digital accessibility. Particularly in Nova Scotia, we now have accessibility legislation in place. And while accessibility really should just be part of our DNA, in our spaces, in our collections, our resources, legislation is an additional driver to ensure this going forward. And libraries have had standards for many years in regard to accessibility in our physical spaces, but I do believe that digital accessibility needs greater attention, and all of our students are able to have equitable access and engagement in our digital environments. So to support this, Libraries and Learning Support struck a digital accessibility working group in fall 2019. And we are working with various stakeholders across the college to be proactive in evaluating software, systems, e-resources for accessibility, including our educational technologies, library resources and systems, Office 365, and so forth. Some specific initiatives of the library in the area of digital accessibility include the creation of a subject guide to help build awareness of the accessibility features that are available in our various databases, streaming video, and ebook collections. We also have been close partners with accessibility services in our college over the past number of years to provide alternate format text to eligible students. And on a broader level, and some of my NovaNet colleagues are in the room, NovaNet is now planning to undertake an accessibility review of our Discovery service and other shared systems. And we're also arranging to provide access to the NELS collection of resources through the NovaNet catalog. And for those that may not know NELS, NELS is the National Network for Equitable Library Collections, or Library Services, sorry. And that is a way, a means to help eliminate the barriers and the extra step that eligible users in our post-secondary institutions have to take in order to go to public libraries to access right now. So they can access them on their home campuses. And then when they do graduate from our institutions, they have the opportunity to follow through into the public libraries to still access them from there. Also, as part of the Digital Accessibility Working Group I mentioned, my Libraries and Learning Supports team, which I should note also includes accessibility services and educational technology, have started to undertake the development of a digital accessibility toolkit, which is a set of self-directed training materials to help faculty and staff create digital content, whether that's in Word, PDF, PowerPoint, and so forth. Because creating accessible digital content can be really daunting for some people. We want to ensure that we have the resources and supports in place for our college community to do so. And we're hoping that that toolkit will be available in the next couple of months. I'm happy to share that with folks as we develop it. And we've also hosted introduction to digital accessibility sessions for faculty and staff facilitated by Lisa Snyder at Access Changes Everything. Maggie mentioned her in her presentation, and I would highly recommend these sessions. If you haven't brought her in yet, She's fantastic and would be very valuable for your teams. OER is another area that directly connects to educational equity, for which the library is partnering. These are the benefits to students that you see here on the screen. I'm not going to delve too deeply into it here because we already did an OER forum here most recently, and we had lots of discussions around the benefits and value of OER. But just wanted to note from NSCC Library's perspective, we are essential partners in this work, and we all are in our post-secondary institutions. Providing leadership, working closely with our teaching partners, that includes faculty, curriculum consultants, instructional designers, and our ed equity partners. We're seeing this grow as an institutional priority, and that's due in no small measure to the power of this collaborative approach that we've taken. Some examples include work that we've undertaken with the School of Access, who have a mandate to be entirely OER by 2022, and we're on track to achieve that. We've started discussions with other schools. Faculty on their own are approaching us now in order to adopt OER, which is exciting. We're not having to go out and solicit, they're coming to us. And also there's discussions underway about policy development within the institution, which is really exciting because that really drives the prioritization around it. And I think it's worth mentioning the exciting strides that are being undertaken by CAAL that will support all of our institutions in furthering OER and supporting equity and accessibility in this regard. So that's exciting work ahead of us. We've also been working with the Diversity and Inclusion Office, the Senior Advisor of Educational Equity, and the Senior Advisor of Mi'kmaq and Indigenous Initiatives to develop new and update existing subject guides for our equity-seeking communities. And I know this is not new to libraries. We all have these types of guides in place. But for us, the ability to work super close in partnership with these departments, along with the connections they have to community, in the identification of resources and in the development and the approach for these guides has been invaluable. And the collaboration is also a great opportunity for us to strengthen awareness and do broader promotion of these guides in association with our partners. So there's examples here of where we're going with these guides. Some of these exist, but we're updating them. The Introduction to Indigenous Resources Guide is the one that we've developed most recently in this close partnership. And finally, as Debbie Calavas shared, at our Pictou campus, we're beginning to take a more intentional approach to ensuring our collections are inclusive and representative, including ensuring as part of that we consult with community. And Debbie had mentioned our African Canadian Student Services Advisor in that process. We're excited to take that model that Debbie has applied through her course at the Pictou Campus Library and look at how we can implement that more broadly across our entire library system. So that's still to come. Also in plans for the new Barconi campus, we're building a new campus in Sydney, which is exciting. It's going to take a little time. We're leaving CBU, going downtown. As part of those design discussions, we're also looking at the possibility of having cultural spaces co-located with the Learning Commons, as well as ensuring the spaces throughout the building, including the library and Learning Commons, are culturally representative and welcoming to the communities that we serve. And having the opportunity to do that at the outset of a brand new building is really exciting. We're also giving this careful consideration with any library and Learning Commons renovations that we undertake. And we will in the future be planning a more fulsome assessment, still to be developed with our partners of our existing spaces with a lens of equity, diversity, and inclusion. So exciting work ahead there. We've already started doing this in some of our spaces with artwork, naming of spaces, and collection identifiers. Maggie mentioned the 8-pointed star that they're instituting based on a public library formula. So we're looking at using an image that highlights Indigenous materials, which was designed by one of our students. So it's exciting to also highlight our students' work and highlight those collections as well. So lots of possibilities ahead. I'm talking fast and furious. I want to get people out of here. So just to wrap up, this is just the beginning of our partnership, and there's lots of other things that are happening across our campuses within NSCC. These were a few highlights. And there's so many exciting opportunities ahead of us in this work, both big and small. I think we can't underestimate the small things. It doesn't always have to be a great big initiative. And there's so much for us to learn along the way. And I don't think we're necessarily doing anything any more innovative than any other library, but the exciting part for us in libraries and learning supports is to now have that educational equity policy and partners, along with our diversity and inclusion office and our senior advisor of Mi'kmaq and Indigenous initiatives to help guide us in this work. So we're excited to have those partnerships ahead. So I'll give Jill the last word. Our collaborative efforts are designed to foster a cultural shift within the college and with industry and community partners by ensuring learning and working environments are more responsive to innovation and change in pursuit of equity and excellence. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.